this preacher from Chicago met this gentleman on a plane, and they sat down together, and the gentleman said, "What do you do for a living?" He said, "Well, I'm a pastor, I'm a preacher." He said, "Oh." He said, "I don't believe in it." He said, "I don't believe in the whole religion thing." He said, "I do good works, and I'm a good person, and I try to help people when I can, and do for people when I can, and I'm a good guy. And I think when I get to heaven, I appear before God, I think my good works will speak for themselves, and God will let me in." The pastor said, "Oh, interesting." He said, "Well, let's do some figuring out." He said, he took out a piece of paper and across the paper, he said, "Well, let's just say that's the line. And you need to be above the line to get into heaven. Okay? You need to be good enough to get into heaven." He said, "Now let me ask you a question." He said, "Who is probably the most religious or the best guy? The guy who's done a lot for God, or a very somebody you would consider a good example of what it means to be a good person in life?" He said, "I thought for a minute." He said, "Billy Graham." Preacher said, "That's a good choice." And so he said, "What I'm going to do is I'm going to write Billy's name right here, right below the line." He said, because by all accounts, in Billy Graham's own words, he said, I'm not good enough to get to heaven. He said, I'm a sinner. He said, if it wasn't for the grace of God, I don't get in. He said, so I have to put Billy below the line because that's where Billy puts himself. He said, and he said, and I know Billy Graham. He said, so I'm going to put my name right down here. Today I'll just put my name. He said, I'm going to put my name down here. And I'm probably somewhere down here. He said, now, sir, he said, where do you see your name on that list? He said, surely you don't think you're above Billy Graham. So if you're not above Billy Graham, then you must be thinking you're below the line. And the guy turned to him and said, he gave me something to think about there. There is no good enough. You can't get into heaven by just being good. It doesn't work that way. That's not the ticket. That's not the way it works. That's not what the Bible